What is up, guys? It's Zero here, and today I have for you my deck profile for Ezzell. So, yeah, obviously, like all these other decks that I have been doing like a month late, but better late than never, I guess. But Ezzell got some new support in set 15, we're in 16 now, but set 15, it really does make the deck a lot better than it used to be. But yeah. Without further ado, I'll get the deck list. I decided to load up. Bam, here's the deck list. If you just came to NetDeck, here it is. If you want to hear the explanation to everything, stick around. Before I even get to that, if you haven't already, hit that sub button. If you like the video, hit the like button. And tell me what you think about this deck list in the comments below. So yeah, to start off, I'll start off with the starter. We are playing the Quoron, I think is his name, the Ezel Searcher. So his skill is Forerunner and CV1, put him into Soul, check top 5, and add an Ezel to hand. So the reason we play this card over the generic Grade 3 Searcher is that by playing, for one, he's 5k, so he's scaled a little bit better. But the main reason is that because since we are not playing an Ezel on heal, this card will never grab you a heal trigger. Because if you looked at the list before, if you looked at the list, I have Zenith on heal instead of like Platinum or like Blind Ezel or Scissors. So the starter will never grab you a heal. You either whiff or you grab an Ezel. You either whiff, grab an Ezel, you will never grab a heal, which is, I think, very nice. And which is why I choose to play this over the Grade 3 Searcher, and I think this is the only starter I'd even consider for this deck. You have the new other new starter that calls like 2 cards as a rest when it boosts an Ezel. I don't think the card's very good. I wouldn't play it. I think being able to just have an extra way to grab your rise when you need to is nice. So, yeah, that's how you play the Quoron as a starter. Next off, we play the new PG. Honestly, I think with this deck it does become preference if you play new world PGs. But I choose to play the new PG just because this deck, yes, it has ping, so you could in theory just get held at 3 and still do your game plan, but a lot of the times you need the extra counter blast for the Scissors. Because you do a lot of times want to use Scissors skill twice in one turn. And if you have old PGs, and most of 3 counter blasts, meaning you'll have to find a Saphir off the top 4 if you want to use Ezel twice, so yeah. That's why I play the new PGs, but if you think you're very good at the game and can't Saphir off the top every time you want to do that, then by all means play the old PGs. Next up, for the grade 1 line, I'll go over the 1-up first. The 1-up is the Silver Fang Witch. Her skill is unplay, so block 2 draw a card. It's only a 1-up, so I choose to play this over like a Din Drain or something. You do actually build up a bunch of soul in this deck. You don't really use it for anything. This is the only card that actually uses soul for this in this deck. But yeah, we play this because it's just a 1-up slot. A draw is always nice. It can draw you a PG, but at the same time, it could also draw you a heal. But this is the 1-up slot. You can play whatever you want here. And this is the card I like the most in here just because draw 1 is never bad. And unlike Din Drain, this card is never dead in your hand. And then after that, we have the Lion and the Disciple of Pain. I'll just go over them. They're both self things, so I'll just go over them both as if they were the same card. So the difference with this and the 6K is that this card for you to use this card's ping, you have to be on an Ezel Vanguard. So if you're on Zenith, this card doesn't actually ping you. It basically never comes up because you're almost always on an Ezel if you need to ping anyways. So yeah, it's a self ping. If you have 4 less damage, that sounds about right. Like if you're not at 5, you ping yourself for a damage, and then at the end of the turn, you put a damage back, prioritizing face down, and it's random. yeah. Pings have been a bread and butter for Ezel for as long as the deck has existed. No different here. In fact, you get to play 12 things now. You could play 16 if you want, but you don't have to face the grade 2 things. So yeah. Pings are pings. Pings are good. The 7K ones are specifically good because they scale properly now. So you don't have the problem of playing a bunch of like small boosters. Yeah, that's why that's the grade 1 line. 8 pings, 1 field or 4 PGs. If you feel like you don't need this many pings, like replacements would be like Sagramore. I can't even think of what else you'd play. Your grade 1s are pretty bad before this to begin with, so like I feel like extra ping is just nice just because it can let you enable your plays that you want when you want. You'll never be like, damn, I don't have pings in my hand most of the time at least. So, Moving on to grade 2s. Next, we have the grade 2 line. This thing is also a self-ping. So we're playing 12 pings total. This one also requires you to have an Ezzell Vanguard, but you play this one over the old one because this one's a 9k, unlike the other one, which is an 8k. This thing actually swings the things unboosted by itself. Not much to say. Same reasons you play the grade 1 pings. It's a ping, and this one's grade 2 and it's scaled, and it's of proper size. So yeah. And then next, new inclusion to the deck, the Saphir. I don't remember his full name, but it's Saphir. Skill is when placed from deck, you can soul charge one and counter charge one. So the reason we play this over Trip is because if you want to do that game plan of being pseudo ragey and just using scissors twice a turn to get 3 crit, Saphir lets you do it, Trip does not, because Trip needs to hit to counter charge. So obviously if you hit them, they're going to 4, they can do their cool break right turn now. This one, you don't need to hit, and it's much better timing, because a lot of times if you pinged yourself from 3 to 4, you have to find the Saphir to do it twice. And no other card in the game, in Gold Red, will let you do that. This is the only card that does it, so you have to play this card if you want to do that game plan. And I do think the game plan is very good because you just don't let the opponent play the game. So you just check a PG from them every single turn, and eventually they will die. And then at worst, if you don't find this card, you could just push the 5 and then you just snipe their intercepts with spirits, or you use Zenith for an extra attack. But yeah. So then that's like another thing, but yeah, you play this card so you can actually do the Zenith, the ragey game plan reliably. And speaking of spirits, I'm playing 4 Blaster Dark spirits. I don't think the spirits matter which one you play. If you want to be truly optimal, you should probably Blaster Blade spirit. But I'm using Ren as my skin for this deck, so I chose Blaster Dark. It seems more fitting than Blaster Blade. But dude, you don't know what these cards do by now. When called from deck, CB1 and snipe a front row. That is for Blaster Dark is sniped grade 2 or lower, so he snipes 2s and 1s in the front, while Blaster Blade snipes 2 or higher, so 2s and 3s in the front. So as you can clearly see, Blaster Blade is probably a little better, but realistically it doesn't make a difference, because unless you're sniping an intercept, you don't use the skill most of the time. And his other skill is when he gets hit, when he gets attacked, so anything can swing into it, he just dies. So he is technically a zero power intercept, but he still intercepted, so he still did his job. I'd love to play more spirits, but with this how you play the deck now, you need the Saphirs. And then the 1-up slot is a very interesting tech, is the Blaster Blade Liberator. So his skill is basically doesn't matter, because you're never going to use a skill in this deck. It'll basically never come up, but if it does, the skill is on play. If your Vanguard is a Liberator, CB2 to retire a card. As you can see, none of the Ezzells are Liberators, so the only card that's a Liberator in this deck is the Zenith. But so why do we play this card as a 1-of? We play him as a 1-of because Zenith, when called from deck, can fetch him from the deck or from the drop and replace itself. So Zenith goes back into the deck and you call him into that spot. So there are a lot of times where you check top 4 with either of the Ezzells, and you're like, damn, it's like a grade 1, a PG, and like 2 triggers. So there's like no intercepts, you don't really want to call anything else, or like a lot of times it will end up being like 3 triggers in the PG, and you're just like, damn, what do I call here? Zenith acts as a pseudo intercept now. So if you ever see a Zenith and like no other intercepts, you can call the Zenith instead. You call Zenith, you put the Zenith back, and now you have an intercept in that spot. So yeah. Previously, before, I was playing Trip in this last slot, just as an extra counter charge, but after playing around with the Blaster Blade, I do actually really like it. Having the ability to have like 4, quote-unquote, 4 extra intercepts for this deck is really nice, because sometimes that one intercept is the difference between you dying or not, and sometimes you just don't find it late into the game, and the Zenith will, Zenith acts as the intercept now, so yeah, very nice. I think this card is actually a very cool 1-of tech. I don't think you should play more than 1, just because you can also grab it from drop, so unless his Blaster Blade goes into damage, or like you have to ride it, he's always live, so I think 1's more than enough for this. Yeah, that's a grade 2 line. Moving on to grade 3s, I'll go over the Blonde Ezzell first, just because he's older. Do you know what he does by now? CB1, Lyric 4 CB1, check top 4, call any card off the top, and then he gets power equal to that card's power, and then he gets 1k per one of your rear guards. So he's just very good value. He's basically been relegated to the backup plan now, because for one, you don't have any spirits anymore, so he isn't like a constant easy source of retire anymore, and he's just not. He's still a really good card, but he's used as a finisher more than anything. You use him as a finisher to dig for spears in your opponent's F5 a lot of times, but he also does offer cross-rod base to the scissors and the platina, so that's also why he's here. But it is an Ezzell deck, and he is the next best thing you can ride that isn't the scissors, so that's why we do play him at 4. And then the one of is the platina. This card kind of sucks, but he's an Ezzell name, that's why you play it. Once per turn, ultimate break, limit 5, CB1, all your rears get 5k, and he gets a crit. Cross ride with Blonde Ezzell, and then if you're on cross ride, his ultimate break becomes a limit break, so you can limit 5 becomes limit break 4. He is occasionally useful. The one of platinum has actually won me games before, but it doesn't happen enough that I play more than the one. And the play, if you don't know what I mean, is if your opponent, for whatever reason, has 0 intercepts and they're at 3, you can scale all your other lanes to be like the equivalent of like 26 columns. You go Vanguard first, and if they're playing new PGs, they get pushed to 5, and if you don't hit double defensive, you can double PG check them from 3. That play doesn't happen enough because that requires your opponent to have 0 intercepts on the board, which is very, very rare, but when it does happen, it's nice. And then obviously he can also help you beat over 6 heals because all your lanes are scaling, including the Vanguard lane, assuming you have a booster behind it. Man. He's an Ezzell name. You could play something else here, but I do value that 9th name for the starter because obviously you don't grab your heals, but you also don't want to whiff if you can help it. So grabbing the 1 platina is better than grabbing nothing. So yeah. And then finally, the new Ezzell, so the Ezel Scissors. So his skill is limit break 4, CB2, unlock everything, and then that's just separate. That's just its own thing. If you have lock cards, you unlock, but the rest of the skill does not require you to have lock cards to do it. And then after that, check top 4 and call anything. So the Ezzell skill. So check top 4, call anything. It said this is CB2, and then after that. If you have 5 rear guards, so after calling, if you have 5 rear guards, so a full board, he gets 10k and a crit, and at the end of the turn, countercharge 1. And then that last line to text and bracket is saying you don't need to have lock cards to use the skill. So how this works is, so the unlock is its own thing. If you have lock cards, you unlock them first. And then you do and then you check top 4 to call a card. And then if you have a full board after that call, you get the 10k and the crit and the counter charge. If you called, let's say your board was like scissors and then like 3 rears, and you use this CB2 skill, you call a card. Okay, now Ezzell checks. You have 4 cards. You have 4 rears, and since you don't fulfill his requirement, he doesn't get the 10k. He does not get the crit, and he does not counter charge at the end of the turn. So yeah. So make sure you have a full board, or you have at least 4 rears on the board before using this. So 1 empty circle. So how the Ragey play works, because this is not once per turn. So how the Ragey play works is, you have like 4 cards, 4 other rears. You use the skill once. Okay, cool. He checks your full board. You have full board. Cool. Now you get the crit. All right. Now you use the skill again. All right. So that's 4 counter blasts, or 3 if you found a Saphir off the top the first time. All right. And then you just play over like anything. You just play over something. He checks again. Oh, full board. Okay. Now he has 3 crit and you got an extra 20k power. Power doesn't really matter here too much. Then next 3 crit. You poke them. Okay. Cool. PG. Cool. Okay. End turn, you unflip 2. So yeah, that's how a lot of your turns go out. You do a skill twice, you play over something, you unflip 2 at the end of turn. They like hit you for like 1, and then you get the counter blast to do it again, and you just keep doing this until they die. And the other skill is the same as the Blonde Ezzell skill. What was it? 1k per rear, and then cross ride base with Blonde Ezzell. Crossfire does come up every once in a while, and since the Saphir does random soul charge, you could just randomly get free crossfire base, but you really shouldn't bank for that. If it happens, it's cool and it's nice that you got it, but yeah. And then finally, the heal trigger of choice is the Gancelot Zenith. So his skill is limit break 4. When attacking the Vanguard, you CB1, you put a rear back to the bottom of your deck, and you call a top card of your deck to any spot to any rear circle. You can play over her too if you want, I'm pretty sure, and that unit gets 10k. So you usually get like rear to rear, rear to rear, Vanguard to Vanguard. You put something that already attacked it back, and then you call something back into that slot, and you swing again. So 4 attacks. And his skill is because Zenith also gives him 10k power. And then the added skill that he got was the when called from deck, you can as a cost to put him back into the deck to call a Blaster Blade Liberator from your deck. to anywhere on the board, but usually you place it back to where you recall this guy. And then if you don't have one in your deck, you can call one from drop zone. Yeah, he acts as a non-Ezzell heal trigger, which is important, like I said before. He acts as a finisher, and he also acts as a pseudo intercept now, which is cool. And the last skill is cross shot based with base Gancelot, but you don't play base Gancelot, so that skill doesn't matter ever. So yeah, he just fulfills a bunch of roles that's really nice for this deck in specific. Extra being considered basically an intercept. That's also like a pseudo recyclable heal, a finisher. Yeah. So yeah, he just like Zenith's just a really good splashable card in Golds right now. He's like the main finisher for Liberators, and then he's also like your an extra finisher for this deck as well. And because you cut down on the amount of spirits you can play, because you have to play Saphira now, Zenith also acts as like a pseudo 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th spirit for the sake of ending games. Yeah. This is the deck. I forgot to say at the beginning. This deck was heavily inspired by Aaron's list that you played in the Winter Championships, I think. Yeah, there was a game where he played against the Ashura player and he like decked the guy out. I didn't watch the game myself, but I know he decked the guy out and then played like Ragey with Scissors, which was like, I'm like, wow, that's so big brain. That's besides the point. This deck was inspired by him. I don't know what his exact list was, but I like tweaked the stuff around and played the deck and like added cards to my personal liking. So yeah, this is what I ended up with. This is the list. You can definitely play like a more conventional 8 spirit list instead, where you cut the Saphirs for like 4 more spirits and you just play like a slow like push 2 damage a turn kind of game plan. But at that point you might as well play Jewel Knights because they can also farm PGs, you can't. So yeah. This is the list. Once again, like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below about this list. Y'all have a game after this, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.